Welcome to In Layman's Terms, and today I'll be going over the Hisense U9G 4K Mini LED TV. Now, Hisense have positioned this TV as the 4K flagship for 2021. It is the only TV that is featuring a mini LED backlight in the 4K range. In addition, the TV also features partial HDMI 2.1 support, which means you get basic VRR, auto low latency mode, eARC, and quick media switching. As we go ahead with this review today, I just wanted to give my thoughts about this. So I own I believe it's a 2019, possibly a 2020 Hisense Q8 85-inch, and that was one of my favorite TVs of the last couple of years. In my opinion, it was the best bang for buck. Now, I have come into this review with quite high expectations. I believe Hisense are actually putting in a fair bit of effort, at least in the Australian market, as this features over 1,000 dimming zones and mini LED. I was quite looking forward to seeing the results. Today, I will be putting this television up against two of my favorites, which is my Samsung 8K QN900A Neo QLED and my 83-inch LG C1. So it definitely has its work cut out for it. Upon powering on the TV, the first thing I noticed is Hisense is still pushing this Vita TV platform. I don't like the platform. The App Store is completely anemic. I don't know why they are sticking with it, so just be prepared to bring your own smart TV box along for the ride. Now, one of the first things I did was throw my Xbox Series X at it, and I noticed something quite strange. The Xbox Series X was reporting the television can do 1080p at 120 frames per second. I tried heaps of different modes, changing cables, trying to get that mode to actually work. It just does not work. The TV is not capable of 120 frames per second. The Xbox would even confirm that it was at 1080p at 120 frames per second, but using the television's information menu, it would always report 4K at 60. The next issue I had was more around variable refresh rate. So most TVs, if you are enabling VRR, it will tell you, it will give you some sort of prompt to let you know, or it will confirm in the system settings. However, this TV has some of the most poor reporting systems I've ever seen. I could not get it to confirm any kind of VRR. Enabling it and disabling it wouldn't give me any different menus at all. The only hint that I could find was going into the signal info and the video format being reported as 3840 by 2160p at 59 Hz. So that's given me some sort of indication that it is using VRR at 60 frames per second. A few other remaining items I'd like to talk about is the black crush on this TV. I spent a considerable amount of time going through all the settings, the picture mode, the HDR settings, as you can see here. It didn't seem to matter whether I was on HDR day, night, IMAX cinema, changing the local dimming to high, medium, maximum. It just didn't seem to give me any decent picture quality in HDR. I don't know if this is because of Hisense first attempt at mini LED, but it is just a very poor implementation, and I have found Hisense's older sets that feature a simple full array local dimming backlight system have much better blooming and black crushing control. So as you can see here in Forza Horizon, the specular highlights are just completely blown out. I couldn't seem to find any kind of balance between getting specular highlights to look good with the rest of the game looking good. It is just a bit of a mess. Next, this is when the cracks really begin to appear. So I put the Hisense up against my Neo QLED QN900A. This TV is a monster. It can hit almost 2,500 nits, over 3,000 in vivid mode. It is an insanely good TV. The blooming control is so tight. I think it is a severely underrated TV. When I put these two TVs side by side, the cracks really began to appear. I noticed noticed the brightness levels were incredibly off and it just could not compete. Would you believe right now there is a movie playing the same movie on both screens and you cannot see half of it because of the HDR brightness levels are so low. In a moment you'll see it change over to another scene and you will see just a completely dull and washed out image. I don't understand what Hisense has done here to make it look so poor, but the TV just isn't ready for HDR. If I change to one mode, I get a little bit more color, but it is just absolutely shocking. I also wanted to demonstrate how bad the off-axis viewing was for this TV. Now, I've cranked the exposure up quite high on the camera. The Netflix on the Samsung, you cannot see that blooming in real life. On the Hisense, the minute you step off above or to the side, it is completely washed and blown out. It is one of the worst blooming TVs I have ever worked with. Now, jumping over to the 83-inch C1, you can immediately see the difference in the color tones. The LG seems to have a much more natural effect. The specular highlights seem to be much more accurate. It feels and looks just so much better. Specifically on this hill, I noticed the size of the sun is a lot smaller on the LG. It is much bigger on the Hisense, meaning it just blows out all the content. The HDR is just terrible. Now, coming over to Halo, I noticed this game on the Hisense was just way too dark and there was nothing I could do about it. The VRR implementation for 60 FPS wasn't too bad, but here we go again, launching up Netflix in a dark room, and you can just see how shocking this TV is when it comes to blooming. Honestly, I have older TVs that look way better than this TV. I don't know if it's just to do with a software update or Hisense haven't figured out the algorithm yet, but it is one of the worst poorly implemented TVs I can see for HDR. So if you're looking to get a TV that features great HDR, don't go near this TV. If you look at any dark scenes where the stars are, they're just missing. And the blooming is insane. Once again, coming off axis in a dark room, you can just see how bad it really is. Once again, I don't mean to rat on Hisense. I actually do like Hisense as a brand and I have plenty of Hisense TVs. But to be honest, for a 4K flagship, this is pathetic. I would not recommend this TV to anyone, especially if you're a gamer. Don't fall for the partial HDMI 2.1 support. So wrapping up this video, unfortunately it's not the most positive video, but I thought I'd like to get this out there and just show everyone that if you're looking to buy a really high-end TV and save a bit of money at the same time, generally I would always put my hand up for the flagship Hisense TVs, but this year, I think it's best you stay away.